sky. Well, you cry out and you don't know why. Yeah. Come on now, let your feet fly. Come on now, let's go for a ride. Come on now, let your feet fly.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Red Couch. I'm Ash.
I'm Joe, Izzy, Dakota Jones, and we're here with Dave Reimer. All right.
Bravo.
I'm excited to be here, man.
I know. I've known you. I've known you like in the scene for a long time, right?
Yeah.
We've never really chatted a lot. I was
No.
telling Ash we never really chatted a lot, but I've seen you in all the bands you've been in and everything
Oh,
over
cool.
the years. Yeah.
Cool.
So not just.
And those they're not just bar bands that you've been in.
No, you're with Lee Aaron now, right?
Yeah, that's been the main stuff.
How long you been with Lee Aaron?
Well, geez, we're coming up on 06 is the very first gig I did with it.
Okay,
Was
that's a while.
was that the jazz standards and all that stuff?
No, it was as she was leaving the jazz thing, and
she was really good at that.
she was really good at it.
Yeah.
I didn't do any. I just did little hints of it when it came back on. And what happened was her husband, who she met in the 90s, was a good friend of mine, John Cody.
Okay, yeah.
Drummer John Cody, who's
Yeah.
played with everybody.
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
Scramblers to the Villains to just so, you got,
Oh my
there's a
gosh.
guy you want to talk to.
I love the Scramblers, man.
Oh yeah, the Scramblers were heavy. Oh, I saw them at the town pump a couple times. Oh,
They used to jam at Faceplant, and we jammed at Faceplant.
oh man.
Scramblers.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so punk rock.
I know.
But
and they were
just like polished up enough to not be.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I love the Scramblers.
They should have been big. They should have been big, man.
Yeah. Wow.
And so John said, Lee wants to get back in and do something a little bit, she'd done sort of this pop album after the kind of jazzy thing. And, we want to go out and do some shows. And our first show was actually opening up for Heart.
Oh,
Which
cool.
was really fun. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. Did you get to meet Ann and Nancy?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy just picked high.
Yeah.
Ann, because she kind of hit out. But Nancy,
Nancy will talk.
she's a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
So she was just out in the circus. It was a summer gig.
Yeah.
So, with trailers. And she was just kind of hanging out. I just sat and kind of opened up with saying, did you bring Libra Sunrise, which is a guitar that, what was his name now? Roner, Myron, I can't remember. He's passed now.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was a Vancouver Luther in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And when they all lived up there.
That's right, yeah.
Because they weren't really, they were a Seattle band, but they mostly.
They got their start here. Because I used to see them at high school gigs and stuff, and then in the clubs. I opened up for them at the Hard Rock in Los Angeles.
Oh, cool.
And when they first started coming back onto the circuit again, and they played the Hard Rock, and we won some sort of contest when we were in it through our manager. Now we had to open up for them, so we opened up for them, and I met both of them in the dressing room. Like, we have one big shared green room, and I met them there, and they were super nice.
Yeah,
and
Nancy was really sweet.
And they always talked about Vancouver, how much they liked it, right?
Yeah.
They liked it a lot here, right? And I just saw the show. I went and saw that show. Yeah, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and see this show and and see how she came out in a wheelchair. She had fallen, right?
Oh, jeez.
She fell and broke her arm.
Oh, jeez.
And I think fractured her hip or something too. Yeah. She says, I just did it at home. She goes, it was that simple. I just fell at home and bang,
Yeah.
And that was the end of it, right? So she says, I wasn't going to stop touring. She goes, I'm just on pain meds.
I don't think that's a new feeling for this people.
Probably not. So Lee Aaron, like she was it a year ago? She had an album out. Was it?
We've done.
I mean, I saw a video that was single.
We did one in about 2015, 2016, which was the first one. we've had the same guitar player for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
Sean Kelly from
Sean Kelly,
Toronto. He's
yeah.
just a monster.
And you've got, what's his name, to sub
She's in
sometimes,
Toronto.
there's a friend of ours is
Daniel
no,
Stenson?
no,
Bryce Tavish.
Bryce,
Yeah, he subs in every once in a while.
Yeah.
So those guys were doing some gigs, and then Sean hooked up with Lee because he had a book called Metal on Ice.
oh, cool.
So
Oh, Canadian metal.
yeah. So
Metal on
he
Ice, very
got
good title.
yeah. He's great. You should do a phoner with him one time.
Yeah.
Sean is the best. And anyways, he really kind of pushed Lee to sort of think about writing again, think about doing something. Mentions like a lot of people I run into, the Honeymoon Suite guys years ago, or Prism, who's gonna buy, who's gonna listen, are we gonna get on the radio? And it's just like, screw that.
That isn't really the
it
thing.
doesn't matter
anymore.
You just gotta create. You do what you do, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up doing.
Actually, the other guy here, Jeff, loves Honeymoon Suite.
Yeah, and they're awesome. We do so many shows with those
Yeah.
guys, at least a few a year. We're always hanging out, and
They're still doing a good job.
They're great. Other than they have a different keyboard player who's been in the band for like 25 years or something.
I grew up in
like that.
Niagara Falls. I don't know any of those dudes, and I
No.
don't know anyone who knows them. So there you go.
Because they're always on the road.
I don't know.
They're always playing Toronto or someplace. When they're back, or out here. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we did Fire and Gasoline, and then we did we did a live in Germany.
Sweden.
We did there was the Sweden Rocks one, that was 2011.
Okay.
That was video. Then there was
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, that was before Sean came on.
Okay.
Then we did Fire and Gasoline. Then we did live in Germany
I'm telling you
album.
what you've done, man.
What's that?
I'm just telling you. No, that was Sweden. No.
No,
I mean-
remember you when you were in.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, dude.
It's all about
Now get into another beer.
it's all about the timeline.
Yeah, I'm a very sequential person. I'm always asking people their age, and they think, what's it? And I said, no. I need to know when you were 13.
Yeah.
I need to know what year you were 13. I need to know what year you were 18.
I was 13 in 1980.
Okay, great. I was 13 in 1974.
Very nice.
So you know what I mean?
I don't even
Like,
remember.
So we have those different.
Wouldn't even talk about mine.
Because
He's still 13.
yeah, like like the first Rush album was grade 8 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're
and then so it's like what influences you when you're playing, what influences
Yes.
you, bands, fashion.
Yes, all that sort of
And
stuff.
was Rush a big one for you?
When I first started, because I sang and I played bass.
Yes, you
Oh,
did.
beautiful.
I started playing bass in grade 5. Played
So where are
played-
you originally from?
Victoria.
Oh, okay.
But I was born
What a
in the
music-
West,
what a
but then
music
we
town.
then we moved over to Victoria.
Yeah, what a great, now it's a bustling music.
Yeah, when
We're scene's growing
Yeah,
huge right now.
I left late 1980, early 81. I was 19,
Yeah.
and nothing was really happening.
Yeah.
So that's you couldn't get anybody even to think about going on the road or playing a club or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So I just bailed and I just
Yeah.
came over here, and then it was great.
Bonnie bailed out of. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie bailed out of Victoria. And Joan and Gary, if you're listening, I doubt you are, but hi. They listen to every show. Anyway, but they're from Victoria, and same idea. But now it's booming.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now a
Crazy.
lot of bands are going over there.
Who's that guy? I was looking to some book about Rickenbacker basses and the bass player for, was it Lifehouse?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
That guy's from
Yeah.
he's a couple, 20 years younger than me, but he was
Yeah.
kind of like, I'm going, oh, cool. Like, there's all these
But
great players.
There
right?
was that one singer too, that was from Victoria. That was the singer from, up to, I guess, since the guitar player died, for Uriah Heep.
Oh, yeah, right.
Really good singer, man.
Oh,
guy
what was the
really
guy's?
fucking good.
Because I
He
knew.
gets a gig with Uriah Heep for heaven's
Dude.
Because I knew some of those guys in
That's
the
pretty
70s.
good.
They were in a
Big
band
band.
called Cold Sweat.
Was that who that was?
And I remember, and it was Rick Eden was the drummer.
Okay, I know Rick
and
Eden.
What is the guitar player? these guys were all, 8, 10 years older than me.
Yeah, yes.
And anyways, I remember hearing about those guys.
Yeah, because when he played here at the Vogue with them, they had like two ferry boats of people just come and see him.
Yeah.
They all came over
Oh.
because they all wanted to see him with the right heat, right?
Damn, I wish
and
I
he
could
did a great job.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he sang really well. I was like, wow, okay, this guy's he's a local, right?
He was in. They went to England, and I remember it vividly. They were in a band called Grand Prix
Oh, okay.
or something. I don't know whatever happened, but I just one
Wow.
of those nuggets that sticks in your head.
Yeah.
All those guys, right?
And you also played with the Headpins too, didn't you?
I did in '82.
Yeah.
I played in the Headpins.
That's
So you
prime
played with
Derby.
Bert. You played
And I
with
played.
Bert.
Well, I'm not on the record, of course. Nobody was really on the record.
No, nobody was on the record
except Ab and Brian.
Yeah.
And Brian played drums on the first couple.
That's right. That's right.
Bernie didn't even play drums.
No, I know
on
that because I remember this is a funny story. I played when I was in the band called, if you remember, Showbiz Kids. I was in Showbiz.
Yeah.
So I was in Showbiz Kids, and we were at the Fraser Arms. You remember where that was?
Well, I remember the Fraser Arms.
So we were playing at the Fraser Arms, and Mike Filoni was doing sound for us.
Yeah. Mike mixed us.
Yeah, and so Mike was mixing us, and Bernie came in, and Bernie came up to my drummer Brian Rask, and it was my cousin, and he comes up to Brian and goes, "Hey Brian, I really like the way you get this sound on the drums." And Brian goes, "Thanks Bernie, thank you." He goes, "You know who I am, right?" To my bass player. My bass player was really cranky, right?
That's a cool thing to say, right?
Rob's a big, tall, strapping guy, about 6'9", right? And he's like, "Yeah, I know who the fuck you are, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're Bernie Aubin, and you didn't play on the Headpins album." Right? And poor Bernie, right? I mean, Bernie just, and then, Mike got mad at Rob. He just says, "Hey, don't do that, right? Like, he's bugging me." He says, "No, you're just cranky today, like every day, right?"
I see Bernie all the time. He's our agent. He's everyone's.
He's everybody's agent. He's done so well. Way to go on that end of it,
yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah, and Bernie taught me lots about playing. When
He's a good player.
he had a great groove,
And to play with you guys and play with
Well,
play with Brian, right?
I was like,
Because Brian was picky as fucking hell.
with Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with Adams in '81, and Jim Wesley was the drummer on live.
Right.
And then
Is that like Cuts Like a Knife Time?
no, that was You Want It, You Got It. That's his
okay.
second record.
Brian.
I didn't play on that record, but
Yeah.
did that tour for that fall,
Yeah. With Brian.
and then left that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right.
And then that's when
And Barney Bental, right?
And that's fast forward 10 years.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stages.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that, man.
Yeah.
Those were we did albums. Then the next year joined the Headpins and toured with those guys.
So Adams must have been fun too with Brian.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, because I got to know Brian in the real early days,
Yeah.
like when he first started, right?
Yeah.
I got to know him when he was also in Sweeney Todd there for a
Yeah,
while too.
yeah.
I remember those days, right?
Yeah. Brian Killer singer.
Like in the summer of '69, fellas?
Oh yeah,
Not that far ago.
not that far ago. Yeah.
Well, I did the math.
Brian wasn't that far ago either.
No,
trust me.
No, that was the Jimmy that quit is Jimmy Balance, I think.
Right.
Jim Balance, yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
think he was from what I finally heard the story about that song just a year or so, a couple of years ago. He was from what was it, Cranbrook or something
Yes,
like that. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I think that the Jimmy he quit the old band, which was all those guys, and
All
moved
those
to
guys.
and came to Vancouver. I think that was the quitting.
Yeah, that was the
That's-
quitting part, right?
That's
Yeah.
cool, eh?
Yeah, very cool
And
story.
the math doesn't work out. And I heard this interview with Brian Adams, and
Yeah, he would have been 10.
it
Or
wasn't
nine.
it wasn't the summer of 1969.
No.
Yeah.
It was the summer of '69.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. Which I
Well,
believe.
that's true. That's probably a good point that he made, right?
Yeah, he would have been a little kid, man.
Yeah. But he probably was referencing all the way back to all the rock and roll. Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, that's what
and
it's
when
all
you
about.
And when you co-wrote, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was,
Yeah.
just had the back in the summer of '76. It wasn't working. It's not gonna
It's
happen.
not gonna happen. Not with people like Jim Balance. he was very cool dude too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I met him a couple of times at the town pump days.
yeah,
Yeah, and then, you know, he was very, very supportive of a lot of artists.
yep.
That's what I liked about him, right? You know, he came and seen us, and we had a single out, and on the radio and stuff, and he came to watch us play, and you know, and he sat there and had a drink at the back, and had the pump, and he's watching us play, and he's going like this, and before the end of the set, he went
That's
like
cool.
that.
Nice.
So I was like, wow, okay,
That's a big thumb.
I said, that's really good.
That's
Now we got to talk to him.
That's one of the biggest thumbs.
Then it was probably hard to grab him after that because he knows we're chasing him. We want you
It's
to
probably one of
produce
the
our
biggest
next album.
Biggest thumbs in the city, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you played with a lot of people over the years.
I
Yeah.
did that, and
Did you do the Feldman circuit at all?
yeah.
What bands were you in those?
Well, I was in a band called The Kids,
Okay.
and then I had a band called The Race, which with a guy named Colin Weeb and
Yeah.
a big tall guitar player who was Terry Kellogg.
Kellogg, yes.
Kellogg, who had been in The Kids,
Yeah.
and then did that, and then I hooked up with John Cody and
Yeah.
and Randy Murray, and we still played the Feldman circuit, but we didn't do top 40 stuff.
Right.
We did a little bit of sort of British kind of stuff.
Yes.
But we mostly started, that's when we started doing all like the 60s and 70s
Yeah,
material,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So kind of dovetailed into that and got out of doing
Yeah.
whatever the current didn't really sort of do, all the metal.
Well, they
bits
sort of had like when I used to work for Feldman and that, I mean, when we first started, I was with Bruce Allen before Bruce left.
Yeah.
And then when we did the stuff with Sam, like Showbiz Kids was different. So like you guys, we were doing recording a lot of originals, and Tom Lavin was producing us out of Blue Wave.
Yeah.
And
So we did a little bit of at Blue Wave.
yeah, and so it was they sort of let us do that, but they started pushing us to, you got to do more covers, when you play the bars, and we just got to the point we just told them no.
Yeah.
We says no, we're not doing that anymore. So we actually took our PA up, took Mike Filoni, we gave Mike, here's the PA. This is before he started really taking off. And we said, Mike, take the PA, and he went to Gary Taylor's, and he became the house soundman at Gary Taylor's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so we just rented a really tiny PA system,
Hey, Gary.
and we played the B circuit, and then
Yeah.
went in the studio and then did concerts, open up for people. Like we
Yeah.
said, fuck it. We said at the end of the day, fuck it. We're not robots. We're not going to play what you want us to play all the time.
Goddamn
We
right.
did the Feldman thing, but we also did, Bob Burrows managed us for a while in
Oh,
our
yeah.
band Vox Phantom. So we
Oh, yeah.
put out a couple singles, and we did the Pump, and kind of the alternative. It was still clubs, but it wasn't the top 40 thing.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Then Randy and I, and then eventually John, we went off with a couple of the Bachman Turner guys. And I played
Oh,
with
cool.
Tim Bachman
Oh, cool.
and Robbie a little bit in 87, 88. For a
Very
while.
cool.
Toured all over the States.
So how was that like that?
Yeah, it was great. Sang all the Fred Turner stuff, and
Oh, cool.
just got to see America, and got to
Yeah.
do some bigger rooms, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was really fun.
Full rock star mode.
Yeah.
It got there.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that's what Mark is doing now with playing with Randy. Right?
Both Mark and Mick aren't doing that gig anymore.
They not anymore.
No, just Brent's doing that.
Just Brent. I like Brent too.
Randy and Tal got some different guys.
Yeah.
So.
I like Brent though.
Brent's great. Brent's
I mean I
played with those guys a lot. Like
I love those guys.
Like when back in '89.
They're so talented, aren't they?
So good.
Well, I've said that once at a gig. I had them play a gig when I was doing the union stuff for the hospital. We would do these big functions, and so I got them to do their, come and play a gig.
Trio, yeah.
The trio, and they got paid really well, and they were really happy about it. They invited me up on stage. Joe, come on, you gotta come up on stage and play with us. I says, okay. I says, and I've always watched them play, or they've watched me play, but never played on stage with them. So I got up to play with them, and I just said out on the mic, I says, you know what, this is like a dream come true.
Yeah, right.
And locally, I says, because I really respect you guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's And Mark came up to me afterwards and he goes, that was really nice of you to say that. And I says, no, but I says, it's so cool to play with you guys because you guys are so good.
Yeah, well, I've played with those guys since, Mick started playing at the Roxy when I was there in like 1990, somewhere around there. And then I started subbing in for either Mick or Brent.
Oh, cool.
With those guys. So I've subbed for those guys for 35 years.
Yeah.
So I still play, not so much the last year or so, but played tons with Mick and Mark and Brent.
Yeah.
So
that's
I've got
great.
some things coming up with those guys.
Do ya?
With Mark and Mick, yeah.
Anything you'd like to share?
It's just, it'll be some cover stuff. It'll be some Beatles and some Elton John.
They do that stuff so well.
Yeah, and we'll be doing
They sing
that
like
with
birds.
Yeah, right.
They sing like bloody birds.
I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be called. It was called Atlantic Crossing before.
Yes.
I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. On this one. But anyways, that should be coming at some point.
Yeah, no, really good. I mean, like I said, I had Mick produce a single for me in the Twitch, and
oh, cool.
And it was lots of fun working with him. I mean, It was like, wow, he did a bang up job.
Yeah.
And he actually said, you know what, Joe, I'm going to take this down to LA and give it to the producer, and the producer was the guy who did the American Idol show.
Wow.
He was friends with him.
Yeah.
So he produced it, and I said, what's this going to cost me? And he goes, nothing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a favor.
Yeah. That's
and it was just like, I was so, honored that, he did that, but he's so good in the studio too, right?
Yeah. He plays everything.
Yeah.
Drums and bass and guitar.
Guitar, he does everything.
Sings like a bird.
Yeah, I know.
Plays great piano player now.
Yeah, incredible piano player, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's good to see that you're in the circle of all these people that right now.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I play with a lot of great guys. And another buddy of mine, Alan Roger.
Yeah.
We get together every once in a while and we do these covers in the studio.
Cool.
It's really fun. We'll do like an association song.
Oh,
yeah.
We're working on an Alice Cooper tune right now. We did.
You just got the old band back together, man.
Yeah.
Cooper.
Oh, I
That's
know.
cool,
Did
right?
you got the original lineup again?
Yeah.
You got the bass
who
player.
passed? Was it Michael Bruce?
Yes, didn't the drummer or the guitar? No, the bass player passed away.
No, bass player's still alive. One of the guitar player, is it Michael? I don't know which
One
one.
of them's gone, anyways.
One of them's gone.
Yeah.
And those guys are all back together.
Wow.
We're doing some shows with Alice, so that's good.
Well, that's good. It's like the
Yeah.
original lineup, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, that's one of my biggest influences was Alice, in the early 70s.
Yeah, it was
But,
great.
Yeah, all those records. are
Like
just-
Killer and all that.
Killer's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it to death.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And $1 Billion Babies is just
That's when he was really
School's
climbing.
Out. School's
Yeah,
Out.
School's Out's a good
I
album.
was telling my buddy John Kelly, like I remember grade 7 when that was out, or grade 6 or whatever.
And the
And
pennies.
you go into it, and in the classroom, some kid had actually carved out the desk exactly like
Just
the
like
cover.
That's dope.
Like it was like really good. Filled it all in with pens and.
Dude, right there. My kids went to Hastings Elementary, right there.
Oh wow.
And the last day of school, through the outdoor PA, they play Schools Out. Right? And kids are whipping their books around.
Oh,
I hate this Cayenne.
deadly sounds.
Right?
Deadly.
That's so East Van.
That's
You?
cool.
Oh
That's
yeah,
very
yeah.
cool.
That's great, man. That's really
That's
cool.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name was doing that too when we interviewed El Harlow. He
Yeah.
was doing covers too.
Yeah, for a while. Yep.
Yeah, he's doing something.
I played a little bit with Al.
Yeah,
Okay.
El's a nice guy.
He's such a nice
He's a
guy,
very
man.
sweet man, right? And he's got so many great stories too.
Oh, dude.
I told him I really liked it when he was playing in Seeds of Time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he goes like, really? I says, oh no. I says, I mean, I really like, I like Prism, but I says, I really, really, really like Seeds of Time. And he goes, why is that? I said, it's like the blues kind of rock vibe
Yeah.
you guys had back then, you know? And I says that's kind of impressed me, right?
Yeah.
That's what I liked.
What's the coolest band you've ever seen? Your favorite show?
Oh, that's a tough one. We've been
I
asking.
know, Joe won't answer.
Well, I can see too many.
Ooh.
It's too many.
One of the coolest shows, the surprise show of Sloan when they did, was it Navy Blues, the one with Getting Everyone, or
Yeah.
whatever? Like that was during, what would it be, North by North?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was
it is.
at the Commodore.
Yeah.
I saw Rush a bunch of times when I was a kid, you know. Stereo Lab at the Commodore.
That's
That
the one.
was a fantastic show.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I love that. Can't remember. I only really got into one of their records. It was like monotonous, yes. Like
Yeah, okay, yeah.
like driving Tony K era, you know, almost like you know, this grindy organ.
Yeah, right.
And but they get into these kind of grooves, and it was almost sort of like Muse doing the Resistance.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it was
These guys
just
are a lot heavier than people understand, right? Muse.
Muse, very heavy.
Very
Well,
heavy.
yeah, well,
Heavier than
same
people
with
think.
Stereo Lab. They were electronic, but they were heavy.
Heavy
Like they get
electronic,
into, you know, kind of like same reason I love Flaming Lips. You know, 'cause
Oh, yes.
again, really heavy.
Yeah.
Like in not like, and no offense to people who love metal stuff. I play in a pretty. I've always played in really hard rock bands.
You play with the Metal Queen.
I don't listen to it though.
Yes.
But I love playing it.
I like
same with when I play with the headbands. I'd be like in 283. I'd be listening to ABC and REM and all this shit.
Yes,
And
yes.
people were going, "Oh, you must like the new Priest." I'm going, "Never listen to it, but I'll play with them. I'll beat
Yeah.
the shit out of my bass
Yeah,
and
yeah.
play this
Do,
stuff.
do,
You know, and just fucking
Well, it's fun. It's fun,
and
right?
just do it. You know,
Yeah.
but it's not what I want to listen to.
No, I hear you. I like heavy, like real heavy metal. I'll watch like that loud TV channel.
Yeah.
And I'll watch it not just for the songs, but I'll watch it because I'm interested in how they play the songs.
Yeah.
You know, the playing ability,
Yeah.
because, you know, some of those guitar players, like, they shred, right? Like,
Yeah.
no tomorrow, right? And I find that really, oh, okay. And they put it here, and they put this part here. They slow it down here. They change the way they change the
Yeah.
feels and stuff, and get that. You know, I can't listen to it when it's like just boom, boom, boom right through.
Yeah,
It takes too much out of my head.
We've
right?
done a lot of festivals where you're just watching some, you know, it's just like, and it just, and then another one comes on and goes,
Same one.
you know, and it's just like, but one of the biggest surprises, we were playing Bang Your Head in Germany, and Crocus was on.
Oh.
So there's all these kind of guys, and no offense to anybody, it just kind of sounded like
Yeah.
a bad Bon Scott, you know, AC/DC imitator of
Yeah.
song. But unlocked these guys,
Yeah.
and that guy opens his mouth, and you go, why wasn't this guy? And no offense to you know,
others, yeah.
to who ended up in AC/DC, but oh man, could that guy sing?
Oh yeah.
And do that kind of tone.
Yeah, that's
in
screech.
such a
Whiskey sounding
powerful.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, incredible, yeah.
Oh yeah, because that was going to be the move, right? They were going to get him, but he wouldn't
But he would
because of Crocus.
because of Crocus.
And they
yeah,
had-
it was the move, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I saw them, and I just went, well, that made complete sense.
Right. That would. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they went through like even before Bond, they had two other singers before that.
Yeah, but after Bonnet, I mean, when they,
Brian Johnson.
yeah, when Brian came in, I mean, that's a tough gig. I think he did a great
I think
job.
Brian.
Dude, they put out Back in Black.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
think
mean.
every Camaro that came off the line
Yeah.
had that in the cassette player.
But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you
right, yeah.
In 1980,
Well,
every-
back in Black, I was just
Dude.
talking to you know somebody the other day. We were just talking about like that's Mutt Lange. You think of all the heavily produced stuff he's done, all the you know,
Yeah.
from Shania Twain to to Def
Def
Leppard
Leppard,
and
yeah.
you know the records and all this stuff. But you hear just the rawness of that.
Da-da-da,
Ba-da-da,
da-da-da.
ba-da-da,
Yeah.
and it was just like clean,
Oh, yeah,
precise, you know, perfect
Bonnie and I went
arrangement.
for a rip the other. We had the top down and cranking back and back.
Yeah,
It's great.
it was great.
It's great today.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It
it's a solid
sounds,
album. It's a
it
solid.
sounds amazing.
Killer, dude.
It does, nothing's ever surpassed it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You know, it's sort of like, you know, Good Times, Bad Times or something, Led Zeppelin.
Yes, exactly.
You know, or,
Yeah, all that
my,
stuff.
my favorite song lately in the last little while has been Regret by New Order.
Oh, okay.
92. If
Yeah.
you guys haven't checked that out, well, that is just a fantastic song.
Really.
Oh, it's so heavy and big, but still that Brit electronic kind of
Yeah.
driving proto, you know, sort of
Yeah.
post-punk kind of thing. It's
Post-post.
such a great
Post, yeah.
Post punk.
post-punk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they were. I guess
Joy Division was.
Joy
pretty
Division
much-
was post-punk, and then they were post-punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, unreal. So
Kitchen
I'm,
post.
I'm itching. I know that's not the bass you made, but we want to talk to you about also talk about your basses though too that you make.
Yeah, you know,
Let's talk about that. because,
silly
you know,
me.
And how
that's
you got
okay.
into that,
Yeah, how did you get into? Oh, look at that!
Look at that.
Oh my God!
baby.
Well,
Wow.
this one.
Harvey would be. Harvey must be. When he's watching this, he's going to be. Harvey, your problem mouth is falling.
My
Put
brother.
your mouth back.
My
This-
brother too.
this-
Travis.
this
Travis.
one
You
is,
see that?
Wow.
This
look
one
at
is a
that.
59,
Wow.
but it's been refinished
Yeah, it's beautiful. Though.
by my buddy in Victoria, Gord Miller.
Cool.
Did the color. Then I sold it to a guy, and I recently got it back.
What
and then
beautiful
I
bass.
did all the relicking.
Yeah, you did all the relicking.
Because it just didn't look right. The neck was quite worn, parts were, you know, and I just, yeah. I know a lot of guys don't like relic stuff, but.
I do.
but
I like it because
but-
it looks good.
But to
Looks
me,
dope.
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
it's got a.
What a great feel.
Smack and tone and
Yeah.
I love, you know, I mean, that's my thing with most of the Reimer, the basses especially, not so much my guitars, but, you know, they're really, I mostly just build kind of clones of late 50s, early 60s P basses and J basses.
That's what I thought, that your P basses, or your
Yeah.
basses look like P basses.
Well,
The headstock for sure, but then the body kind of does a little thing here, right? Is that it? Is that right?
On some of the earlier ones, yeah. And then about
It's got that little,
seven,
that
eight,
little Paul Stanley. thing
yeah,
on it.
7, 8 years ago, somebody sort of said, maybe not even that long ago, somebody said, I love that, that's great. Like my friend Rob Backer and
Yeah.
a few guys around town with 5 strings and a bunch. And so I've done a little bit more modern. And then somebody just said, I love it if you just make me a P bass. And I was like, yeah, sure. So, and now that's mostly what I make is real vintage inspired stuff.
Cool.
But for guys who have, you know, things that they don't want to take on the road anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yes.
things that were worth, you know, $3,000-4,000 and you throw it on a plane and then suddenly it's worth 7 or 8 and you go, I'm a little, and then suddenly it's worth 12 or 20 and then you go, well, that ain't going on the plane.
Yeah,
So you want to have something,
Yeah.
you know, just, but that still has the feel.
How
And,
does
and, you know, I've made I'm well over 125 instruments that I've made.
How'd that start?
That was something I was always kind of interested in. Had very, very handy parents, and also I just knew how things were made. I took things
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
You know, my dad was a mechanic, a
There you
welder,
go.
machinist. You know, my mom was an upholsterer, tailor.
Bossy, yeah.
You know, so
So you can put things together.
so you understood that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
things didn't just come in a box,
Yeah.
and you know, you understood they come apart. So for me, you know, I built stuff in high school, but then music took over. I could sing. That's why I ended up in bass.
Yes, yes,
I mean, lots
I-
of guys could play bass.
I've seen you sing and play, yeah.
You know,
And you do it so well.
And so, you know, being able to sing harmony, being able to lead sing, whatever, just
Yeah.
kind of got me, so that really took over in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah,
But by my late 30s, I started getting into building a little bit.
yeah.
You know, I'd buy a neck and build, you know, did a little bit of that, and then decided I really wanted to, I was playing a lot of acoustic guitar. Starting
Right.
to, you know, I was writing a lot. I had had a decade with Barney Bentall, Legendary Hearts,
Yes.
you know, playing bass and really working on writing, had a few kind of top 10 hits with those guys, like that I co-wrote.
Yes.
You're singing,
Yeah.
you're in that kind of thing, and then it was like, that was kind of a little overish, and I was just very focused on guitar, so
Like
that's...
that didn't hold anything for you anymore? You didn't want to do that anymore, you mean?
No, I meant, like, it wasn't like I wanted to make basses because I was busy playing basses. It was holding something for me still, but I was very focused on being, like, singing and playing a lot more guitar and writing.
Right, gotcha.
Rather than just sort of like...
You're getting into the music end of it.
Well,
more.
into
the creative music
yeah,
side.
and I was always creative, always was co-writing
Yeah, sure.
and doing stuff. I had another band called the Roswells
Oh, yes.
in the
I
90s.
don't know, that's a great name though.
Yeah, it was like
No, I remember
it was
the
like a power
Roswells.
pop band.
Yeah, I remember
that I
Roswells.
played bass and wrote lots of stuff. But as that decade went, I just played more and more guitar. And then when I wanted to build something, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna build a bass. It was more
Right.
like, I really want to build an acoustic guitar.
Yes.
So all the early Reimers, like the first 20, 30 guitar, they're all acoustic guitars.
Wow.
And then it kind of, then the really obvious thing of, oh yeah, you play bass, why don't you make some? Kind of, didn't really happen until the early, like 2012, 2013, that I got in, so, and then that's kind of taken over. Now I make maybe one acoustic a year, some electrics, mostly like Fender style basses and rock and roll guitars. I make Explorers, and like I'm just finishing up a Reimer clone for a guy on the island, Lee Warden. Just finished up another.
What is it
couple of
about the
Explorers.
acoustics? Is it like built like that building that box?
Yeah, it's the sonic. It's the thing. Like when I practice, I don't plug in. I never plug in.
You don't need to, yeah.
So I'm always listening to the acoustic tone of something.
Yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
So I kind of had this little thing for about 3 months where I thought, I want to play jazz guitar. I didn't really didn't listen to a lot of jazz, but there was something about the tone
Okay.
of the acoustic, like a hollow body jazz guitar
yeah.
that just drew me in. And that's when I started to build like acoustic guitars.
Right.
Because I think I had played, spent my teens, my 20s, my 30s, you're in a band, you're plugged in, you're playing, you're getting here all the time.
Yeah.
But suddenly you're in this thing where I think my ears just opened up. And I
Right.
just went, I'm listening to this. It was irrelevant to me what you're playing, plugging in,
Right.
recording, whatever. I was focused on the sound it was making.
Yeah.
So that just drew me into, building something. So it was just that ultimate reward of you're jamming away, you're strumming away on your old Gibson or Martin or whatever, and suddenly you're doing it on something you built.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And it's pretty cool, so that kind of drew me. I've never really been much of an electric guitar player. I've never done an electric guitar gig in my life, other than to play 5 or 6 songs.
Right.
So that I leave to my friends.
Yeah.
Like Craig Northey from the Odds, he plays with
Yeah.
Stephen Page. He plays.
Yeah, he's all right.
To me, he's like the best songwriter in this freaking country.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Chris Norrie
Craig,
is pretty
and he has the second acoustic guitar I built,
good. Oh, cool.
and he
Who's got
has.
the first? You. Please say it's you.
I did have it. My son has the very first one I built,
Wow,
which is
that
000.
story even better. I like
That's
that.
That's cool.
And the first kind of Reimer one I built, specifically, a friend of mine has, and then I guess Craig would have the third, technically the third one, but it's kind of like the second.
That's
So he's
cool.
always played that. He's had an electric 12 string, and he plays that, the Explorer I built for him. He plays it all the time.
Right.
If you look at Craig on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, chances are he's playing the Explorer that I built him.
Right.
It's
That
just
must
this
feel-
lightweight.
That must feel
Oh, it
pretty good.
feels freaking awesome, man.
Dude.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Excuse me, folks.
Woo!
Shouldn't be happening.
that. Outer space calling.
Okay. Call you back. I think
But
that
yeah,
was
so
Harvey.
that really, is that Harvey?
It might be.
Give me that bass, Dave.
Watch, let's find out. Let's find out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out right now. I'll know by the phone. No, it's Paul actually.
Oh, yeah.
It's
My
just
guitar
Harvey
boy.
salivating over the phone. Hey. He plays one of your basses.
Harvey's got
Yeah.
he's got a couple.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
No, he's
okay.
got, no, he's got one.
He's got one. He's got
Red
the red
one.
one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
he
that
was
bass.
an early adoptee.
Yeah. No, I like that bass.
He's
It
a
sounds
great,
good.
great supporter, you know.
Yeah. No, he talks good stuff about you, and
Harvey's-
rightfully
Harvey's
so.
the best.
He is. He's a super nice guy. Everybody loves Harvey.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
call him the mayor of Vancouver.
He's just super sweetheart.
He knows everybody.
Yeah.
Harvey, you know everybody. Everybody talks to Harvey. You know, it's like the guy calling Paul, my guitar player, says, you know, I go to talk to Harvey, and you know, Paul works at Long McQuaid. So Paul says, I'm at Long McQuaid, and Harvey's coming to pick me up to go to rehearsal or something. He goes, and I'm ready to go. And Paul, he says, Harvey's talking to my boss. And I'm trying to sneak out 5 minutes early because I can't go nowhere.
Oh, no.
I gotta wait right to the gun now because he walks up the hard. What are you doing?
He's a friendly man.
He's a friendly man. He's got great hair. You got great hair.
Yeah.
does, yeah,
Harvey looks like Roy Thomas Baker right now. He looks amazing. I saw it last night.
See, you look amazing. I
He
won't
cuts
cut
his hair.
I'm his barber,
I know.
and he's like, "Oh, cut my." No, man, it looks so
He
good.
was telling me that.
See?
That
No, I will not cut your hair.
No, he has awesome hair. I'm jealous. Always been jealous.
Yeah, it looks
I told him the
incredible.
same thing. He goes, cut it. Why'd you cut it? He goes, what do you mean? You got great hair. Don't touch it.
Your hair,
Leave it
sure.
alone. One day you might have no hair. Come on,
An
smarten up.
older dude with a full head of hair.
That's pretty
Dude,
unusual.
and full David Lee Roth hair. Come on, man.
He's
Oh
great.
my
I
God.
know that's
He's
like our,
beautiful.
that's like my friend Sean Kelly with Liard. He's just got totally golden locks. He's just he
That's
always
like
gets
a-
all these women coming up going, I want your hair.
Hair.
Nobody wants my hair. Actually, they did. I used to have fabulous hair, and I
You
gave
did
it
have
all
big
away.
hair, I remember that.
I gave it all away.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's all
That
right.
deal you made with the devil to build these bases, beautiful. It's
That's right.
beautiful.
It cost me my hair.
It cost me my hair.
You got to give up something.
Yeah,
And
it
it wasn't fingers. You know, I
Sold
wanted to
my hair
still
for
walk.
rock and roll.
I wanted to sing, so you know, I had to
there you
do
go.
something.
So you have to do something.
I had to
Yeah.
do something.
So what's on the horizon with Leanne, and what you going to do
We've
next?
got just a bunch of summer shows coming up.
Cool.
Some stuff in the fall.
Oh, so sorry. I want you to tell us this. I haven't seen her since she played at the Hotel Georgia doing the jazz thing.
Okay.
Do you guys do Metal Queen stuff?
Yes, we do. We
Yeah,
started off in 06 doing a few of the swingier jazz tunes.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit
love
of the
that stuff,
poppy
dude.
stuff from an album
Her
called
voice, man.
called Beautiful Things, and then we did a handful of like What You Do to My Body, like the hits.
Yes, the big hits. Yeah.
It's morphed into a full-on rock band. We haven't done any jazz or any of the pop stuff.
So she's just
I mean,
giving
the
it.
closest thing we do is just we do some heavy blues stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's very blues based. Like if you listen to like Radio On or Elevate, the last couple records, you know, they definitely, they're very blues based.
Right.
Very Zeppelin-y, Deep Purple-y, kind of, you know, it's that brand of rock.
That
It's
makes
this, yeah, which is the sort of place we all hit off, you know. We did a
Right.
covers record recently, a few years ago, that was, you know, it's got like a Heart tune, it's got like an Alice tune, it's got a 77s tune, it's got, you know, it's just a bunch of great stuff.
Because I heard, like I said, I heard
Definitely check out, if you go to Leanne's website, and I'm not just plugging this just because I co-wrote the last bunch of records with everybody, and I play in a band, and I love her like a sister, and they're all great guys. But it is really great music, and she's one of the few artists, and no offense to anybody, who's doing it, is she just keeps putting out material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
she
so
does.
we've got, you know, I
That's important.
yeah, I think we're talking about, you know, I don't want to, you know, say anything I'm not supposed to say, but I know she's She's working on a bunch of stuff. We're gonna do some writing and some recording again.
Good.
And but we have been. So
I
like
can't remember.
Mike Fraser recorded the last one we did a couple
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
Elevate.
Yes.
He mixed the one before that we did right as COVID
That could have
started.
been the one I saw in the video, I think. That's the one. It was really good. The
Yeah.
song was really good. I really liked it. She sang so well.
She sings amazing.
I was so impressed with it, right?
She's
I
fantastic.
listened to it and I just went, you know what? She sounds better.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean,
Yeah.
and that's I mean, it's not that that's like for a singer. I find that like a compliment when the singer gets better. Like we
She
just
does.
saw,
She
like
does.
when we saw the Rolling Stones
Dude.
this year. I've seen the Stones quite a few times, but I gotta admit, the guy's 80 fucking years old, and
Yeah,
he
that's
sings
great.
and he sings better than he did when I saw him in '72.
Yeah.
He sings better now than he, and even one of my friends said he can sing a little higher now. I
Yeah.
says, that's bloody
He's
amazing.
in great shape.
He's in wicked
Dude.
And
shape.
he works on it all the time.
Incredible, man.
Yeah. No, he's dancing. He's healthy. He eats great. He's probably way better shape.
Oh, way better shape he was in the '60s and '70s for sure. Yeah, and
Lots of guys are better. Like, I mean, I think of, Barney Bentall, who I play with.
Yeah,
You know,
Barney,
like,
yeah.
we did the full-on kind of, roots rock thing in
Yeah.
the 90s, but he's put out so many records, singing great. He's playing, like, it's on the folkier side.
Yes,
You know,
I've heard some of it. Yeah.
But he's singing great, playing great.
That's good.
Guys are all getting almost 70, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can do it.
You can do it.
You
Yeah.
know, look at McCartney. He's
Oh,
like
I know.
83. I mean,
And
he's
3 hours. Last time I seen McCartney, a 3.5 hour show.
Yeah.
I'm tired watching. I'm like
Yeah,
this.
right.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
sitting. I'm going like, how does he do that? I mean, I can go up and do an hour, and I'm like fried after an hour.
sure.
Sure. Just giving her 100%, and then it's like, I go, how does he do it for 3 hours, man? At his age, and I said, it's stunning. It's stunning.
Well, it's a double. It's not Paul.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh, it has been since
I mean,
the
there's
accident.
two. There's
that
two
was
Pauls.
they brought a baby in.
26 if, it's.
There's two of them now.
There's seven. Now this Paul McCartney is still 26 years old.
Well, and then there's the AI robot when they picked him in
Oh,
Japan on the last tour. And he's really good. He looks just like
He's so good. You should hear him do a Kiss cover.
Yeah. I'm sure Paul and Gene are working on their AI robot doubles.
That's what
Oh,
they
yeah.
said.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they definitely are.
If we live long enough, gentlemen, we will definitely see this.
Oh yeah. Sad to say.
I went and saw that last Kiss concert, and my brother and I, because the first show we saw was Kiss
Yeah.
when we were 10, and then it's their final show, and my daughter, I love you, Dylan, bought us tickets to go see Kiss. So we go see Kiss, and we're sitting there, and my brother's like, think they're going to play Christine 16? No, I don't think they're going to do that. They didn't, of course, because it's horrendous. And then afterwards, he's like, I was like, what'd you think about that, man? And he said, what did I think about that? I think we just watched a 70-year-old man shake his ass for a room full of 50-year-old men.
And he's amazing.
It was great.
We did 4 shows
With Kiss?
with Kiss when I was in the Headpins in '83.
Oh,
We
yes.
did the last tour, the 10th anniversary tour.
Mhm.
We did four Canadian shows in the Headpins, and I was not a Kiss fan because
Yeah,
I was
neither
just
am I.
that age.
You're slightly older
I was
than
just
I
slightly
am. I'm not.
older. I was into prog rock, and I was
Yes.
into it was Rush, and I was into Queen, and I was into all this stuff.
Yeah,
To me, it was just a little. It just
It was a
wasn't.
little raw. It was a little raw too.
Well, and it was a bit kind of fake, put on.
Yeah.
But anyways, we did those shows.
I was
and
10.
I
It
was
was wicked.
freaking mesmerized.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got.
right.
I would tell
they got-
tell people. I said I
Is that like
watched.
Creatures of the Night around that?
Yeah, just before. Yes, I think right around there.
Okay.
I had Vinnie Vincent. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eric,
Vinnie
and
Vincent,
Eric Carr.
right, Aaron Carr. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
right before Lick It Up.
What?
But
Sorry, I'm
So
geeking out. What cities did you play on that?
we did Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, and Quebec City, I think.
Mhm.
I'm not sure the
I
last
was
one.
at that show.
So, I mean, but they were so good. Paul was amazing. Like he just jumped around, danced around all night. They put on the most incredible.
In those shoes, dude.
In those shoes, like
Yeah.
Gene was like, I watched Gene throw up, spit up blood every night, 4 times.
Yeah.
Just like, I talked to him a couple times, really nice guy,
He's
very
very nice
interesting.
guy, yeah.
Well, the cool thing, he watched our first sound check on the very first show, and they came up and talked to us and said, I liked your album cover. It's got a Marshall amp on the front, and I heard you guys got a single, so you were a good pick. And he was one of those guys. He just seemed interested, like he was looking at going.
Yes.
Are you a player who I'm going to get into another band? Are you are you
Yeah.
is that? Do you have a song that I might? He just seemed one of those guys who was really always watching, always looking. He didn't just sort of go, and then I'm going back to the dressing room.
No, he's a nice guy. I met him in Anaheim when we played a place called the Doll Hut in Anaheim, California. And we drove up in our van, and of course he had the BC plate, so he right away was standing outside, and this place was like it was a garage, right? No stage. It has a rope for the stage. The bartender does the sound. And guess who owns the bar? Part owner was Pat Benatar. So Pat owns part of the bar with her friend, and this was one of her best friends owns the bar. But they have, because I guess Pat owned part of it.
And they can't afford a sound man?
Yeah, no shit. The bar. I mean, I think
What's Neil doing?
She did a good job. She did a good job, but like,
Pat was mixing.
Yeah. She said at the bar.
She was awesome. She was really good.
Smiling, autographs. So this is this bar, and it's all kind of like, you got industry people all around this place, of course, right? And it's tiny, it's a shithole, and to be honest, and like the band Lit was sitting outside with Gene, talking to Gene. So we pull up, and Gene was the first one. He looks at the lights, place, Canada, and then he walks up, he goes, "Hey boys, how are you?" And we go, "Hey Gene," and then my guitar player gets out, he goes, "Holy motherfucker, Gene Simmons," and then I go, "That's right, that's who it is." And he laughs and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" He says, "Well, we're playing here tonight." He goes, "Well, I was going to leave, now I'm going to stick around. And I'm going to listen to the Canadian boys, right?" Nice. And I said, "Thanks, Gene." And he did. He stood around and came inside. He watched the band play, and then before he left, he gave us the thumbs up. Said,
sweet.
"Take care, you guys have a safe ride back too." And I said, "Yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Cool.
Very nice guy.
Very
like you said, very
interested.
Yeah,
just interested.
Just like to talk to people.
Curious.
Yeah,
A curious person.
yeah."
Whether it's a business opportunity or just you genuinely seem curious.
Yeah, smart man.
I love curiosity.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I saw them, like I told you. I saw them once when the first tour, probably in the first tours, and I saw it was a weird bill, right? They're the opening act, and it was with Savoy Brown, and it was with Blues Image
And Kiss.
and Kiss. Can you believe it? So it doesn't really gel, right? And they came out, and I just looked at this band, and I went, "These guys look like shit." I didn't mean to. I was just, I'd never seen Kiss before, never.
Well, they fixed that.
And they sucked on that show. Yeah, that show, they were really bad, and it wasn't their fault because, like I said, they didn't really suit the bill, right?
Yeah.
Not at all. And and Gene, I was Gene's here, and I'm looking up at him and checking with these guys, and Gene, it's the original players, right?
Yeah.
And they're playing, and Gene goes to spit the blood, and it doesn't go, and it falls down his chin and lands on his boot. Yeah, and I go, "What the fuck was that?"
Well, yeah, I mean,
didn't work that
That's
night.
but the interesting thing about Kiss, when you think about
But it got better, like you said.
it was it's just they kind of took that glam rock, fright rock,
Further.
Alice, and all that sort of like
Dolls.
and Phantom of the Paradise,
Yes, yeah,
and all
yeah.
that sort of world,
Yeah.
and then they kind of owned it. So
Yes.
by the late '70s, when no one else was doing that,
Yeah.
they were still doing it, but they turned it into their own thing.
And
It
it
got
seemed
better,
like
it
it
got
was
better,
only
it
theirs,
did
yeah.
get better.
Sorry?
And it seemed like it was only theirs and had only
Yeah.
ever been
Yes.
theirs. Yeah.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, whereas,
Yeah.
whereas they borrow, you know, whether it's Alex Harvey, whether it's,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, all those bands, look at Sweeney Todd when they first came, you know, they had the glitter and they were,
Yeah.
you know, it was
Yeah.
Bowie with the makeup. I mean,
Yeah. That, it was all that back then. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, they
Lou Reed.
Yeah, Slade.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, I love Slade.
You know, none of those
Slade,
none of those
great.
guys were getting shit from Kiss. It was the other way around.
Yeah.
But to their you know, to their credit, they turned it into their own thing.
Yeah.
Dude, when I saw them, so afterward, I was like, how much money did they just spend on confetti?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On flash spots, on.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Mega.
I got to play Gene's bass. On
Did
that.
you?
The axe?
Did you?
Yeah, the axe
Did you
bass.
let you play it? Yeah.
Well, this roadie did, and so I was just talking to him at the end, because at the end of sound check, I was just hanging out. We did our quick setup, and then they did their sound check, and then I was talking, and he was showing me, you know, the empty speaker cabinets and the empty heads, you know, with the 9-volt light bulbs, you know, and which ones were working, whatever, and you know what the bass. And he said, "Well, you want to try it?" And it was just like. It's just like a bulldozer. So much distortion, and I mean, it weighed a ton. Like, and he had a big chain for the strap. But of course, his costume had like leather things all built in.
Right.
You know, but I put it on my. You know, I'm going like wrong.
Just let me slip into those serpent.
Oh yeah, that would have been good.
There it goes.
I'm the Lord of the Wasteland. I don't have the boots. I got Vans.
Wow, that's so cool. That is so cool.
That is
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, that's great. You did that tour too, right?
That was fun. It was
Yeah,
really fun.
were you with her with Darby when they played the? She said they also played with Whitesnake too.
No, that was after.
That was after.
Yeah, that was after.
She was talking to me once about that too. Yeah.
No,
She was
I
saying they
played
were
in-
really cool.
played close to a year, and then Ab and Brian decided to Chilliwack kind of ended after they won their
Right,
you know, and all that, and so they decided to focus on
that.
We were just kind of the road guys, the clones they call
Yes,
us.
yes,
You know,
yes.
We were just it was Bernie and Darby, and then a guitar player named Scott Reed,
Yes.
and myself on bass.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who's in the video for "Don't Make It Feel Like Dancing."
That's right. That's that video.
That's the band.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I mean, anyways, it was always Ab and Brian on the records, and
Yeah.
Darby, of course.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah,
That was a very cool time in Vancouver too.
yeah, lots of
And
stuff.
lots
was
of good
really
music
starting to
was
happen.
coming out,
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Dave for coming.
Oh,
You were
man,
amazing.
that was awesome.
See, was that fun or
It's
what?
really
Yeah,
fun.
thanks.
I know.
Great.
That was
I
awesome.
love this spot.
Thanks,
This is
Sophie.
great. Dave Reimer, everybody. Peace out. We'll see you soon.
If he got his haircut, he'd get his haircut here.
If I had a hair to cut, I would come here.
I'd probably tell him, oh, you don't need a haircut.
And you did right.
Peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh.